All right. Mr. Richie, what's up, sir? How you doing? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. You are on mute or some
Can
or
you hear
some
me now?
or something. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Got this technology, too much stuff.
I know, I know, I know. Man,
Yes.
how you been? Been all
I've
right?
been good. I've been good. Sorting
Awesome.
out a few things. Work and some other bits had me over the last, what was it,
Yeah.
2 sessions I missed, but I'm back. And it's
No
good to be
worries.
back.
It's good to have you back, bro. It's good to have you
Thank you,
back,
boss. Thank you.
man. You sounded like I said it's good to have you back, Batman.
It's always good to have a little bit extra power.
Come on now, come on now. We all do need that, isn't it? We all need that. We all need that.
How
How's the
about you? All is well? Family
family
good?
okay? Family okay on your side?
Yeah, yes, family is wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, it was all wonderful. The summer is
Awesome.
going nice. We've got some nice wind. It's lovely. Can't complain.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So we've got Mr. Cheeto doing his final session today.
Ah,
Um,
okay, lovely.
so I'm not sure whether he changed his mind.
He never changes his mind.
You see, that's the brilliant thing about a mind. You know, you can change your mind whenever you like, um,
Yes.
without even feeling guilty. You know, I don't want any more. I've changed my mind. So what you gonna do? Eh?
Listen, that's funny because I was watching this guy called Omid Jalili. I
Okay.
think I don't remember his right name. So he
Okay.
was giving this joke about when the British say, um, I've made my decision. I don't know if you've seen that one before.
No, no, I haven't. I
So it
haven't.
doesn't matter what happens, even if they're going down the complete wrong road. He was
Yeah.
referring to Brexit and other things. He's like,
Uh,
no, no, no. The British are very stern. Doesn't matter if you've given a kid with lots of nuts.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
person says, no, you can't do that. You can't give the kids that. No, no, no. I've made my decision.
Made my decision. I will not be moved. I will not be moved.
Hallelujah.
All right,
Hello,
no,
sir.
we just talking about you, sir. We just thought maybe you change your mind.
Oh, the day was just too short. Honestly, I'm
uh,
just
He,
Say again.
the day was just too short. I had so many things planned
Wow,
today.
wow. No, no, we were just saying we don't mind you changing your mind because that's what the mind is there for, so that you can change it whenever you want.
No,
No,
I was
good to have you, bro.
okay
Good.
to let
Thank you.
everybody down.
Thank you
Else,
for
I,
jumping on.
I
Can
was
you?
just
good, good.
Can you?
everybody down, so I had to, you know, try and make it, try and show up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But
But
thank you.
it's the same.
Thank you so much, Obi. We hand it straight to you, so that we can maximize the time. So we'll go for it. All good, sir.
Now that's actually good. Thank you very much, guys. Good evening, and if you're watching, good evening, whether you're watching now or later. Well, it's been an amazing couple of weeks for me. I don't know about anybody else, but it's been, revealing because going through these things, having to lead some of these sessions, it pushes you to study, doesn't it?
That's right.
Pushes you to do
Yeah.
some research. And what happens when you research is you find some things. And when you find some things and say it, then you have a moral obligation to make sure that that's showing up in your life as well. So we
Yes.
spent the past 2 weeks been talking about the pillars of progress,
Mm.
and we've looked at progress as what we should desire rather than success. Because if we aim for success, then we get to somewhere and we think that we've arrived, and then suddenly some other things change, and we now our foolishness will suddenly be revealed that you and I should be pursuing progress
Yes.
rather than success, and that's what
Yes.
keeps people happy. In most cases, you find people who are very wealthy from our eyes, from where we're looking at them from, but you hear that they've committed suicide, or they've gone into depression and so on. They might have all the money, but when there's lack of progress in life, that can be really, 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 frustrating. And then we moved over to last week, where we talked about crowdsourcing our progress. That also was important because we talked about the theory that's from the Bible, that 1 can chase 1,000 and 2 can chase 10,000. And that's a choice that's out there for us all to make. How many do we want to chase? How many things do we want to achieve? Do we want to achieve 10,000 things, or would we rather collaborate and achieve 10,000 things? It's all a choice that we will have to continue to make every single day in our lives. So what I wanted us to look at tonight is on the question of sustaining progress. Sustaining progress. Now, as much as progress is good, we go through times and seasons in our lives. When you get up in the morning and you're all excited, let's go and do it. We push down the mountains. Who is out there? Let's get rid of them. And some days I will wake up and the coast is clear, but you know what? We can't be bothered. It doesn't make sense. We just, we don't even want to think whether it makes sense or not. We're just choosing to say, this does not matter, or I'm just not going to get out of bed, like that funny song that says, today I'm not doing anything. I'm not going to, if you call me, let it go to the voicemail. Today I'm not doing anything. So that happens as well. And that's something that we must all make efforts to guard. Now, one of the first things I think that is crucial in the process of sustaining progress is the fact that we have got to have a way of reminding ourselves why we are making the progress. There's got to be some goal that we're supposed to achieve. I didn't call it destination there, because at each stage in our lives, we have certain goals that make sense to that stage, for that stage in our lives. So we have got to always find a way to remind ourselves that there is a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. These are the things, and find a way that we can consistently remind ourselves of that. Something still in the same line of what we touched on crowdsourcing your success is what people in a group, or people in a team, or people in a mastermind can do for you. You have people who are going to remind you when you forget. Because when we meet here every Wednesday evening, we remind ourselves that we are a certain type of people in the society who are not just comfortable being comfortable. We are not just comfortable being where we are. And we will never look at ourselves and we say, what else is there to achieve? Because that's a step of foolishness. The Bible calls there's a parable of the foolish man and his wealth. I've forgotten, I'm just paraphrasing here, that wanted to expand his barn and said, I've achieved everything in my life. Now it's time to enjoy and feed my soul with everything, because everything is there. So we don't want to ever get ourselves to that state. And that's why each time we turn up here Wednesday evenings, we are demanding from ourselves, from each other, to say, yes, you've got to where you are now, but it's time for us to replan. It's time for us to keep going, so that we can hit the next goal, as we're talking about progress intentionally, because we want to continue to make those steps. If you are this step, it's not the highest. Even the Bible says that the paths of the righteous shines brighter and brighter unto the perfect day. So we want to pursue those goals and those dreams of ours, and continue to shine brighter and brighter onto the perfect day. And that's the challenge for us tonight. But I wanted to throw it open to you guys. How do we sustain progress? How do we, in your view, how do you think we can best sustain progress? Who wants to go first? I'm just looking at the eyes to see who seems to. All right, Mr. Ritchie, over to you. It looks like it's closest to your mouth than.
I was going to say let Kendrick go first.
Okay, Kendrick.
Okay, no problem. I'll do it. I'll do it, my friend. Right. I'm just getting this going here on my side here. So
Okay.
Yep. Okay. Yes. You raised a really important point and a whole topic here, which interests me quite a bit. Because you're correct. You experience so many different moments in life. Does face you with different levels of intensity. So it is one that you for a long time in a while. I have not had to stop and think. This one makes me think. Yeah, maybe I should let Kendrick go. And there's a reason. The reason why I'm thinking rather than just saying whatever. I don't want to say what just comes to mind, because this is a very important topic. Whoever's looking at this with us or will watch it after, it is something where you should take a moment to think about this, because it will aid your personal growth. It will aid your way of thinking about yourself, and how you see yourself going forward. Remember, if you are not in a good place mentally, it's a very tough thing for you to then even be in the same space mentally with other people who are going somewhere, so yeah, without delay, I think, Kendrick, you go first. I need some time to think.
I think I need more time than you, sir. But I think not to be deep. So just phrase the question so that I just know that I understood it correctly. So just put it again out there. You on mute, yeah.
All right, that's great. It's all right. I'll do it. So what I was saying, I was talking about how do we sustain.
Oh, just give me the question. Is okay. How to measure progress? How
do you think we can sustain progress?
To sustain progress. So which mean continue. I just wanted to make sure that I understood it correctly. Yeah. So what I understand you saying is like how we can sustain it, which mean how can I continue to have progress? Because I think it's possible to have kind of like a win today, which means you're progressing. You can see you've gone a little bit further this time compared to where you were before. Yeah. As I said, without being deep, I think the way I would look at it is, like when you anything. I think the best way for me to look at it is like when I'm on a journey. For me to be able to know whether I'm progressing, I think the very first thing is, can I measure it? That's the very first thing that I would say, because as soon as I can measure it, I will know that, okay, I was here. Now I am 2 steps ahead, or 3 or 4 or 5 steps ahead. Okay, so that's the very first thing. Can I measure it, where I was before and compared to where I am right now? And I think the second thing would be, what has caused me to get where I am right now? Okay, so which means there are certain steps that I took that took me from point A to point B. And I think maybe the next thing I will ask myself, can I repeat that? Or do I now need to do something different? Yeah. Because most of the time when the thing that got you where you are right now, or the thing that got me where I am right now, it won't be necessarily the same steps or the same efforts or the same discipline or the same whatever you want to put in there, or that will get me to the next step that I want to go. Um, so so I have to measure it, and I must be able to see whether. Let me see, what can I also throw in there? Um, whether it can be repeated, whether what are the steps that I took, and let's see. I'm sure we can find another one. Um, whether uh, whether I'm going in the right direction, because if I want to continue the progress, uh, I also have to ask myself, am I actually, because sometimes you can progress in a specific direction, but it doesn't mean that it is the right direction that I'm going in. So I have to also ask myself, is this just me pedaling just to go forward, or am I actually going forward in the right direction? So I think I think in general, I think we just need to continue to ask ourselves the right questions, so that we can make sure that um, we continue the progress. So that's just me off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Whether
Good.
whether that has made any sense, God knows.
Yeah. I
But
want
yeah.
You've done an amazing job. There is I've forgotten what's his name, Thomas something. He had this quote that says, "Anything that is not measured cannot progress.
Yeah.
You can't get better at anything that you are
Yeah.
not measured." So that's a very, very crucial point. And if you're looking at a point of inspiration as well, it also serves as a good one, because sometimes we just need to check how far we've come in order to get the strength for today. Because hope is a product a product of the faith that we generate by believing that we are making progress, that we are that things have changed in the past. When I say faith here, it's not the spiritual faith that I'm talking of another faith, which is the literal faith, which is firm belief in something, because you've seen that you've progressed from A to B. So from C to D is going to happen. Just a case of figuring out, how do we make this progress from C to D? But if it's about making progress, because you've measured, you are absolutely 100% sure that with adequate effort, you'll be able to move
That's right.
from one point to the other. I think that wraps up what you have said, and that's really crucial when we begin to look at this area of sustaining progress. Because sometimes in this moment we may not have anything to encourage us to keep going, but when we look back and we see, then it helps to launch us into the future that's been prepared for us. But if we can't look back, then we are in other words attracting a curse on ourselves, because we are not appreciating what has happened for us in the past.
Yeah.
Now it is that curse, in quotes, that then causes us not to go anywhere, because now you've lost all your energy, you've lost all your power that has been acquired by experimenting and making progress. Rather, you're looking at now, oh, this is not working, that has not worked, will it ever work? Because, oh, right now I don't even know what to do, and so on and so forth. The negativity will take over your mind, and the result will be very, very, very clear. So thank you for that, Mr. Jonas. Let's go to you then, Mr. Ritchie. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Absolutely. Go
Yeah.
for it.
Okay. For me, it's a slightly different angle. It does include measuring, but I think one of the things that I definitely need to look at is momentum.
Yeah.
Very important for momentum to be kept, and a positive attitude in the mind. And these things are very, very easy said than done. I'm going to use an example of the gym. The other examples that we probably can use as fathers, um, but I don't think is the best example for the moment. Um, the gym example is one where you go and you have these great expectations, because you finally decided, you know what, I'm going. Yeah. And so you finally convinced yourself that, for example, in my case, accident with my arms as a young guy, as a kid, caused my arms, one of them, just to would drop things just like that. So one of the things is literally to build strength in the arms, and then obviously to work on the rest of the body. Challenge with that is you go to the gym and you struggle to do a push-up, and people think, but they don't realize actually you've got a serious accident there, and you're really working towards this, and it's something that has affected you for most of your life. Um, and you probably get 1.5 push-up in, but you really got to do 8, like the guy says, and then you could maybe go down one, and then go down one, and then he says 3 sets, and you're thinking, God. So he does that, but then you've got to keep telling yourself that you're doing this for you. I'm just giving you an example of my case. You're doing it for you. This is important. So it's not about you going out there and looking great for summer. It's not about you comparing yourself with anybody. Um, this is the positive talk I'm having with myself. I'm giving you an example. Um, and then it's about not focusing on who is looking at you, how they're looking at you, what they're saying. It's purely about staying focused, keeping that positive mind and attitude towards your goal and yourself. Yeah. Not forgetting God in this whole equation, because he then enables us to be able to do all of this. And then to keep reminding yourself that without the momentum, you will never get there. You will always be in a place of, in Excel, what do we call it? Circular reference. Um, in project management, we call it iteration. In life, you call it iteration. Yeah. So I think for me, even before I get to being able to measure, those are the most important things. Because like I said, some people may say, oh, yeah, whatever. But I guarantee you, maybe you just have not met something in your life as challenging as it needed to be for you to get, because all of us hit that spot where you have to talk to yourself. Yeah, you have to go into the mirror as a person and tell yourself, hey, we can do this. Whether you go into the mirror or where you just you wash your face, you tell yourself, you want to sleep, you want to do, you want to have a nice lolly, or you want to go play football or watch cricket. But life says to you that you've got to do, if you're going to get on the other side. Yeah, if you're going to cross this river, which has a huge expanse, you have to keep paddling. Yeah, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning. You have to keep paddling. Yeah, but I'm exhausted. My arms can't go and my hands are bleeding. You have to keep paddling. And I'm giving those crazy things because as men, as we grow, as we experience life, as we push ourselves and put ourselves in the place to experience life, you will hit this. I've come to realize it's one of those lessons. And I would say groomer for growth. That's what I call it, a groomer for growth. That I think the simplest way I can put it to you is this. You may go to a fast food outlet and eat some food and say, oh, this tastes good. But when you take time to prepare some food, it takes time, but it tastes good. And when other people eat that food, you feel so proud. Yeah.
Yeah.
The same thing with things in life. I've come to realize, experience the stuff now. Go out there, do what you got to do, endure it. And yeah, so to answer your question, for me, it's definitely going to be about momentum, positive attitude, and that mindset. Of course, God enables, and then come the measuring.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ricci. Very, very interesting. Momentum. Um, that is clearly explained in to keep pedaling, because the more you pedal, then it becomes easier. You know, I used to ride bicycles when I was in Africa. If you were going on a long journey, and you know, the journey is really far, so what you do is you keep pedaling, pedaling, pedaling until you get to a stage where your legs are moving, but it's not causing the same amount of pain. That's the point of momentum. And when you start running as well, you get to where, you know, maybe after the first 30 minutes, it becomes normal, but you struggle through the first 30 minutes. Beyond that first 30 minutes, even if you continue running for another hour, you just find yourself that you've now, you know, because you have that momentum, it continues to go. And you never really have to stop. So that's really interesting. And then obviously we talk about the measuring aspect. Now, we have looked at how we can sustain progress. We've looked at how we can sustain progress, but something happens to us. We've alluded to such things in some of the statements made in this session tonight on, you know, the fact that sometimes you might feel like not going, not moving at all, not moving at all, because you've looked around you for one reason or the other. For one reason or the other, you're not going, and then gradually you find that you start going down. For some of us, it will mean going right back to the start, which means we are now going to have to restart. We're now going to have to restart. So the second part of this conversation is going to be, how do we restart in case we stop? What is the approach that we're going to take? Because this happens, as we've all agreed tonight, this happens to every one of us. We're going to get to a state where we're going to stop putting in the highest efforts that we need to put in, whether it's in our business, in our marriage, relationships, in the work that we do in our lives, calling, and so on and so forth. And I raise this because that's where most of us are at this point in time, where we've made progress, we've had momentum, we have learned, we had the right mindset to produce work that's excellent in the past. And right now, you know, we look around us and those things are not happening. I used to write my blogs every Saturday. I had the time that I set apart for it. I would just go and sit quietly in a corner and wait for the message to come. Once it comes, I'll write. And that's my blog for the week. For the past 1.5 years, I don't think I've written a proper blog for the past 1.5 years. So these things happen to every one of us. I don't know what it is for you, but from my personal life experience, I know that happens. Now, if we find ourselves in that situation where we have to kickstart, we have to restart the process of progress. And so the second phase of this discussion is going to be, how do we do it? How do we begin to dust our tools again and start doing things? Because we don't just stop. We stop for a reason. So it is justifiable if we find ourselves in a situation where we feel stuck, or we feel like we've been frustrated, or something has happened and we've stopped. For whatever reason, I know that that's not deliberate. Something took over and we found ourselves where we have found ourselves. Now, considering this is what most of us are going through right now, how do we begin to dust ourselves? What do we say to ourselves? What do we do to ourselves? What actions do we have to take to go back to where we stopped? Because whatever we stopped doing it somewhere. What is it that we will have to do in order to become that person that we used to be? Because what happens is, when we are who we are born to be, who we are born to be, there is that agreement between yourself, nature, and everything around you. There is that synchronization that you find in the things you do, the people you meet, the impacts that you're having, even on your body as well. Your body responds and it does what it's supposed to do. But when we go out of alignment of what our calling is, so we drop the ball for one reason or the other, we then need to begin to find our way back, because that's the only place that we'll find the balance. Now, the question is, what is the starting point? What is step one? If we find ourselves where we've been beaten, we are tired, we are just frustrated, or we drop the ball for reasons not known to us.
Okay. I think this time I'll go first.
Good.
Is that okay, my friend Kendrick?
Absolutely.
Okay. I love this one because we all get a state in our lives where, for many, many different reasons, we get to a stage where we know it's not going in the right direction. We know this. It's you just feel it. You just know. You see the signs. Actually, what is weird enough with this sort of thing, with us getting to a stage of stagnation, or not accomplishing as we thought that we should have been, we see the warning signs on the wall a long time before. That's the thing. And we keep thinking that we could mitigate, and somehow there's a very clear, distinct voice and plan that enters our system. It always happens to every one of us, that you need to do this and that. Very clear, very simple. But we think that we come up with an elaborate, all-angle, well-considered plan that keeps changing by the hour. Because as the intensity of realization gets closer, the very first thing in this thing that we always do is that we then decide, we decide finally to accept that we've hit a point of no return on this one, and it needs action. It needs our attention. And that's the biggest, that we procrastinate on that particular thing, accepting the reality. Yeah. So we do the Christian thing. We do the Christian thing of speaking into it. You speak positive. You have the right mindset. You pray. You go into tongues on this thing. Yeah. You fast on it. But every time you finish that, you hear this clarity saying, but you still need to do that. Yeah. Let me give an example. So we may say, for example, that you look at stuff, and 3 months ago, it might have been clear you are not going to be able to make those payments on whatever. It could be a rent, it could be a car, it could be something. So you actually need to cancel something, or you're going to need to find some part-time work. Now, you have just come up with alternative plans. If you go to business, you think, actually, let me go and check on TikTok and see what's the side hustle that people suggesting. Let me go here and suggest. Let me go to, you know what? Let me get John a call. John, what are you doing these days, mate? And then he says, actually, I've got a project coming. He hasn't said he has a project. He has a project coming. So you've come up with all of these angles that you could potentially, but you haven't accepted the reality that this thing is hitting, and it gives you very clear warning. It is coming. Yeah. You've also then sat down and you've done a budget to see how you can rejig things and what you can do. And you've put in these hypothetical figures you can get from somewhere. There is no concrete contract. There is nothing there telling you anything. Guess what happens? At the last minute, 1 or 2 weeks before reality drops, yeah, you get an email from somebody saying, listen, I want you to quote for this thing because, are you thinking, no, this is God? You see, when you finish that conversation, you hear this voice, this thing is coming, you need to act. And what happens now is that an opportunity may arise for you to act, but you had 3 months to prepare to act, and you are not ready for that opportunity because now you're scrambling to try to get everything in place. So I think the important thing first at hand is going to be accept the fact that things are not right. Something is wrong here. Accept what you're hearing consistently about this and face it. The earlier you could accept and face up. Now, I'm not saying to you accept defeat. I'm not saying to you accept the fact that, if it's more money you need, I don't accept the fact now that you're broke. Accept the fact that you need to make some tangible moves, take tangible action. So even if it means, for example, and this is where some of us don't like to do that because we feel, how are we going to look to our friends? How are we, even if it means we got to then do something that might not be the best, but every single day or 3 days a week or 2 days a week, that's going to bring you £100. You are £100 towards your target, compared to if you sat down and plan out all these schemes and you're sitting and waiting and praying so that when you scratch the card on the scratch card, you get your 50 grand. You get my point. So first off, accept that there's an issue. Be willing in yourself to take action, because the interesting what you may find in that process is that you've entered a mental, physical state of preparation for your next life season that you're about to enter. But because you're not willing enough to humble yourself, and there's a reason I'm doing this, humble yourself. Yeah, take yourself off of that pedestal that you've put yourself on. And remember, to be honest, if you don't make these decisions, it doesn't impact John from sleeping. John is not going to lose sleep over how you look to him, even if he makes a joke about it. Yeah, his wife doesn't think that you're any greater or lesser, to be honest, because even if they say something to you, it doesn't impact their life. So, falling on from what we said earlier, I think another thing is, once you've identified that, look, I need to do something here, it's time to do it, and I'm doing it now, and then you begin to take the action. It may be a little step. It may be just being honest with yourself and then with a trusted colleague, your wife, somebody. Yeah. Just saying, look, and don't butter it up. The more authentic you can be about the situation, the faster you move forward. Yeah, but if you butter it up to yourself, you become slippery. You slide out your own blessing. So that's my starting phase approach for that. Obviously, there's more to that, but I think accepting and then taking action, and like I could never forget this particular one, consult God, because you got to test those voices. Yeah, test the spirit to make sure it's the right direction. But once it's consistent, I mean, God created us in such a way that we know when he speaks. I'm telling you this. Even somebody who is not a born again believer, I can guarantee you, they will tell you, I know that I heard this thing. They'll tell you that. So when the Father speaks, we always know.
No, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Ricci. Yeah, realization of the problem. It's always the first step to begin to solve it, because you can't solve something you don't know. I think before I let Kendrick speak, what I would like to remind us there is it time to pause? Do we think that we're moving forward in all the areas of our lives? Do we are there things that we need to accept that is not acceptable that's going on in our lives? Are we living with that consciousness that every year we lose is a year out of our lives that cannot be that cannot be recovered? Are we conscious of that fact that the time we've been given to live, we've been allocated the same amount of work to do, and therefore, if we miss out the work of any year, we'll be letting down our Creator. So that's what I wanted to add to that. But thank you so much for sharing those ones. Talking to the Creator is excellent, because He will remind you, this is what I've asked you to do. This is what I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've been in situations, and you can hear that voice that says clearly, this is where I want you to go. This is who I've made you. This is what I've promised you in this life. So you have got to keep walking in that direction. And in most cases, you look at yourself and say, everything around me now is saying something else, but this voice is saying, I am there. Just keep going. I am there. If we make that time to talk to God, I'm sure that He'll hear us, and He will help us to begin to find ways to move forward in whatever situation we found ourselves. All right, Mr. Jonas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, brilliant contribution there, Mr. Rich. Thank you so much. Uh, yeah, this one. Oh man, I think I think is one of the hardest things to do. Um, because if I understand the question correctly, is how do you pick yourself up again when you drop the ball?
Yeah.
How do you tell yourself, let's go again?
Mm.
Um, and I think a good place to start is to ask myself the question: why why did I drop the ball in the first place? Because and why did I stop any specific project or any specific venture that I've gone on? Why did I stop it? Because there's always a reason. I think you did mention earlier. You don't just stop just because I don't feel like it. There's always something significant that happened. Whether I didn't have a big enough why, maybe I didn't have a proper plan in place. Whether I wasn't, or whether I because sometimes what happens, we start things and we are like we're running on motivation. So what happens if you're not motivated? It just furthers away, isn't it? Or sometimes we run on excitement. You start, when you think you get an idea and it's like you don't even take time to sit down or to plan out anything. Tomorrow morning when I wake up first thing, we gonna go and nobody's gonna stop me. I give you 2 days, 3 days, and it's like, yeah, how's it going, bro? So I think we have to ask ourselves the question, okay, let me sit down and just think, why did I stop? First of all, I've concluded this thing is important for me to do. That's we've settled it. I need to do this because if I continue to do this, it's helping me with the big picture. Is helping me to go in the right direction. Maybe it's helping me to speak better. Maybe it's helping me to think better. It's helping me with my family, with my finances, whatever the reason is why we do certain things. Once we know why we're doing it, um, I think, and if the why is big enough, I don't think we will just drop it. Okay. And I think the reason why we, just to kind of like focus on that, I think the reason why we sometimes drop certain things is we did not count the cost. It's costing us more than what we anticipated. It's costing you more time. It's costing you more money. It's costing you more fighting in the house, because why are you in the office all the time? Okay, we don't see you. Why? And those things you haven't keep them in account, because remember, when we're on a journey, we're not on a journey by ourselves. We there are people that traveling, they are traveling with us. And I think if we kind of like just decide to do things without speaking to those that are with you on this journey, I think that's one of the reasons maybe why it stops, because not everybody was on board, not everybody was informed, not everybody was willing to pay the price to make this thing happen. I know sometimes it's easier to do something when you are doing it by yourself, but the reality of it, you never do anything by yourself. Nothing is done in isolation, especially if you are a married man, especially you are if you're running a business, especially if you are involved in so many different things. Everything affects everything. um, so I think we have to, so the reason I would say that, so let me put it that, like, so I just want to make sure that I'm answering the question, because you ask, how do we come back from dropping the ball, or from stopping? So I think once you've answered the question of why it happened, then I can go back and say, okay, if I want to start again, what do I need to put in place now that was not what was that I did not put in place previously? Is it maybe worth having a backup plan if things start getting tight? Is it worth me? Maybe it will run better if I have a system in place, because then I don't have to I don't have to kind of like um, try to put too much of an effort into it. But now there are triggers that helps me to do certain things, or help me to get the job done, basically. So I have to think things through. And I think the reason why I'm so clear on this is because I've done this so many times. When you kind of like go in there, it's like, bruh, and a lot of things you start, but you are honestly, and I think at the time you are so sure that this thing will work very well. And but also, let's be honest, certain things are only meant to be done for a season.
Yeah.
And maybe at a time we don't even realize that, but sometimes you wonder, "Ah, but why is this thing causing why is it draining so much of energy from me? Why does it feel the momentum of slow down?" Because it's only meant to be for a season. And I think we need to be able to recognize it when something is just for a season. Otherwise, you're going to start beating a dead horse. You're like, no, we're going to do this. Come on. No, the thing is, okay, start. You need to pivot to something else now. Maybe it's something similar, but try to something that will give you a similar kind of outcome, or will produce what, because the main thing is, what am I trying to produce? And if I'm clear on that, then I can use different techniques, different strategies, that will give me a similar kind of outcome. So sometimes it's not about starting the same thing over, you know t- because it might have been just a dead horse. Kind of asking myself, all right, asking myself the right questions. Why did it die off? Was it just poor planning? So basically, what I'm saying is, I gotta first start asking myself the right questions, and then I will be able to know how to move forward. So sometimes you might have a go at the same thing, but a complete different strategy. And I think when you go the second time around, just have a proper plan in place, and also prepare that it might fail again, or it might not work this time around, but at least uh, I ain't quitting, bro. I'm gonna try again.
Yeah.
I think that should be the attitude. That should be the attitude. So I don't know whether I've answered the question.
Um,
I,
That's my
if I'm permitted to just add something very quickly,
yeah.
I just remembered while Kendrick was talking something that I wanted to say. And Kendrick, excellent, excellent, excellent. Um, One of the things I was going to say was about the seasons, and it was also that some of the things you experience, majority of the times, it's usually preparation for the next season. Also, if you consistently are having conversations with God about experiencing life, enjoying life, life does not have one facet, one particular way of doing it. Life has, when God created this earth, He created, 7 days. There's a lot of activity. 6 days is a lot of activity He's done. Prior to that, that's what documented. But God having meetings with Himself and consulting Himself, I mean, this is serious business. Why am I even bringing it up? What I'm trying to show to you is that the challenges we're gonna face is purely, and this just literally dropped into me, and some people are not gonna believe me, or even accept what I'm saying. That's fine. The challenge each and every one of us will face in this life is to make us better. I have come to realize that if you see that challenge as a stepping block, stepping, I don't want to use the word block as because it sounds like a blockage, but a stepping stone to go on to the next thing in your life. It could be step up, it could be step forward, or but the point is you're making a movement motion, and that does not involve you going back. Life and things you experience may make you feel as though you've gone 50 steps backward. Yeah. You may feel as though you've gone from a business and you've gone back into work. Little do you know that He's preparing you for 5 years ahead.
Yeah.
You have a serious season that is completely different to this one, that requires you have more skills, more tenacity, more room to deal with more pressure. So He's working on that now. Yeah, helping you to get there because you did not easily and readily accept the fact that you need to make those change. So then God allows certain things to fall into place where you've got to do this stuff now because you've made one condition, and your condition was, I'm going to do, God, if you just give me one more chance, I'll do whatever it takes to make it in this life. Just one more chance. Let me live. Let the pain in my chest go. Little did you know it just was gas. It's not a heart attack. But you have made, he said, okay, fine. I always do keep my covenant with you. So pain goes. Hallelujah. You forget what you just said. And then comes stuff happening. Oh God, what happened? No, that season. And so with that said, I think as men, if we tend to go at things from the fact that, okay, look, once I'm alive, it means that the things that God has put in store for me, there's still an opportunity to go for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So even though maybe I'm rambling on a bit, but there's one last thing I'm going to say, which is this. I've seen videos. Now, I don't know how true they are, but I'm sure they're true. I've seen videos where women without arms, legs, getting up every day and looking after those kids. I do not know how they do it. I've seen men videos without legs. Now we're not talking stubs at the knees. We're talking further up, closer to the hip. And those guys are out there working, and they're having a laugh. And I could just imagine the first challenge overcoming all of that would have been intense pain. But they had to have a determination. So I'm saying to you, don't forget the basics, what we will call basics, what they will call the best thing since sliced bread. Having the legs. We call that basics. And you have that intact. Listen, we can do this. Just remember, You can do anything that you put in front of God as a plan, and He authorizes that, and you saying with a mindset, I can do this. You can do it.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Ritchie. You've put all the coatings and the butter on this topic, and thank you so much, Kendrick, for that explanation of where we have to start. Our people say in a traditional proverb, it says, "He that does not know where the rain started to beat him will not know where it stopped." It will be very, very difficult to know that because you're not paying attention. And the other thing that came out from the wrapping up that you did, Clinton, is the fact that the direction doesn't have to be forward all the time. Sometimes we might have to go backwards. And this thing is about perception. It's about perception. Referring to one of the shots from Kendrick that I was looking at the other time I was watching, and I think you referred to it the other day about perception. It's about perception. We might think that we're going backwards, but that's our own perception. But the Lord is saying, you know that thing you're looking for? I want you to go back 20 steps behind. That's where I've placed the man that's going to help you go in that direction. But the perception we have is anything that involves going backwards is failure. Anything that involves going forward is success. But for Jesus to become the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, he had to go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then resurrected. That's the way that he got that he got what he is, the name
Yes.
above all names, and so on.
Yes.
So when we begin to think in those directions, let us all remember that as long as we are carrying God into everything that we're doing, sometimes the instructions might be to go back.
Yes.
Sometimes instruction might be to go in a direction that we never even imagined. Sometimes the instruction might be to leave something that's really comfortable, and you wonder how. Oh, but Lord, I prayed for this for 2 years, and I've just received it, and things are just started being good, and you're telling me to move on. No, there's a bomb blast that is coming to that particular place, and it's trying to get you out of there, before it gets you. I told you about my job situation and what happened. 2 weeks later, everybody got sacked. But I left 2 weeks earlier, and I was battling with myself, saying, should I stay? Should I leave? Should I stay? Oh, what if I leave and this? But the Lord has already said, leave. Go, I've prepared something else for you. Go, live here. But you go back and you want to hold to the legs of your dad to say, that I really want that particular place. And unfortunately, that's not how the Lord works. Apologies, I think we're about a few minutes over the time, but thank you very much, guys, for bringing it tonight. All that's left is for us to look at these things, because I know that this is what we face. Kendrick was referring to the fact that he has had to start so many times. Congratulations. I at least you can count how many times you've tried to restart. I have not. I've
lost count.
I have no interest in counting or recounting or remembering how many times I've had to think of starting again. That's excluding the ones I'm planning to restart now. So I just pray that the Lord will help us pull us out of every corner that we found ourselves, and give us the strength and wisdom and the people and the planning and all the tools that we need to succeed. So thank you guys again for showing up. You have a fantastic evening. God bless you. We have been made better tonight. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. See you guys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.